Today's how-to video. How to change a flat tire. This obviously was already changed. The tire was repaired. We'll go through the steps. It's the same of changing this tire. So let's get started. First step is you want to locate your spare tire in your vehicle, usually in the trunk area. Once you do that, ours is under here. There is an instruction manual that may come with your vehicle. Find your instruction manual to locate the proper locations for the jack. And you do want to make sure your car is on a relatively flat surface and a stable surface. And remember, you won't probably have a jack stand, so do not go underneath the car. Pay attention to if the car is leaning one way or the other so that it don't fall over on the jack that came with the vehicle. These are all very important steps to pay attention to. If you are on a busy highway, I highly recommend calling a service to come out to do your tire. But if you can safely pull off to the side and allowing enough room to take care of the project, then do so. But again, safety is important. Tire isn't really that important to get changed, and it can always be done later by a qualified service technician. Take those safety cautions into consideration when trying to do this. Remember, that it can wait. Your life is more important. So let's get started. Okay, I have located the jack for my particular vehicle. It's in this nice little handy dandy bag. This is what most jacks will look like. This is what you're looking for in your vehicle, and you'll have some sort of pry bar. Now this end here for my vehicle is meant to take off the center cap. You just put it into the slot and pry it out, and then in this end is to take off the lugs. Also, when the jack is underneath the car, it'll be used to turn the jack up simply by spinning. Alright, let's get started. First step, once you find your jack and your tire iron, is once you take off the jack, you want to take off the lug nuts. Now you want to do this before you actually jack up the car. You want the weight of the vehicle to hold the tire in place, give the proper torque to take off your lug bolts. All you're simply doing here is just cracking them loose, so that once you get the car jacked up in the air, that the bolts will come off a lot easier. Also to note, you want to make sure your parking brake is on when you're out on the street doing this, to ensure that the vehicle won't back up. If you are lifting the front off the ground and you have a front wheel drive, the back wheels will move freely, thus implying the parking brake will enable the back tires from not moving. And to remember, to take the lug bolts off, you're always going to rotate the nuts in a counterclockwise position. Sometimes this may be very difficult, and I recommend always pushing down rather than trying to lift up, because it's easier to push than it is to pull. If you find yourself in a situation where it's just too tough, you just want to make sure that your arm is out, put your foot on it, and apply steady but constant pressure. And you just loosened it up. So down where the jack goes, most vehicles would be some kind of indicator. Right here, there's a little arrow. And this notch on the jack is going to fit up in the metal part under the car. Now that I have my jack securely in place, I just simply rotate in a clockwise fashion. Raise it. Keeping an eye on the jack, make sure that the jack is not leaning over. If it was like unsecure, if you're on dirt ground, to ensure that the jack doesn't fall over. These jacks will fall over. You just stay away from the vehicle. Now you do got some ways to go, because once you get this tire off the ground, remember this tire is a little shorter than the original tire, so we will need to get it off the ground enough to allow the new tire, or you can get your tire back on. Still lifting. It's gonna take a minute or two. Like I said, don't be in a rush to get this changed. Of course, it's always going to happen in a spot where you don't want it to happen. And again, if you don't feel comfortable doing it, you can always call for a service. Like AAA, friend. If by some chance you don't have an instruction manual with your vehicle no longer, there may be some kind of instruction manual on your jack itself telling you where everything goes. So this is how far I got the tire off. And do remember that once you get a flat tire and you put these temporary tires on, you're usually only good to about 50 miles an hour. And they're not intended to be on there long term. They're just a short-term tire. So you do want to get your tire taken care of as soon as possible. So what I can do now is go ahead and take my lugs off. And we'll see how much more we need to raise the car up. Again, do not go underneath the vehicle this time since you do not have jack stands. Okay, I did have to jack it up a little more. As you can see, this is just barely off the ground here, and I'm just putting some lug nuts on now, threading them on. Finger tight for right now, just until I get them all on before they get lost, especially if you're on the side of the road and cars are flying by. And so just want to get them all on there, finger tight. And then you just take your tire iron and you're just going to snug them up for right now. See the tire will start spinning. Actually, if you had your parking brake on, it won't spin. But you can't torque them down while the car is in the air. So I got my lugs hand tight, snug down with the tire iron. Now I'm going to lower the vehicle. Okay, so now you're on, the jack is out, so it's time to tighten your nuts. lug bolts up. So you want it to start any one, but you want to go in a cross fashion. So you'll do this one, then this one, back to this one, to this one, to that one. And then you just keep rotating until you get it tight. And then again, if you need to apply more pressure, you simply put it on and put your foot on it, applying constant, even pressure. Now, if you're unsure if they are tight enough, once you get this on, just go to your local shop, a gas station, somewhere, and ask them to torque check your nuts, your lug nuts. And everything has a torque specification. And then remember, after 25 miles, come back and check again to make sure they are tight so that your wheels don't come off. And you should really do that anytime your wheels are ever changed. Going in for an inspection and take your wheels off. After 25 miles, just check them again to make sure they're tight, or have them take them back to make sure they're tight. That's it. The only thing left to do is to put everything back in its proper place. We have the time to do this here. I'm in my driveway. Again, if you're out on the road, just throw everything in the trunk of your car so you can safely get off the road and go to a more safe spot. Again, my disclaimer here is everybody should be familiar with their vehicle in case an incident like this happens. You should have a preliminary idea of what needs to be done. This whole process, without any stress, you're probably looking at about 20 minutes, 25 minutes to do this. The stress is going to be cars flying by you on the side of the road, panicking, not knowing what to do. It's always best to familiarize yourself with the tire changing process in any vehicle. All right, good day, cheers, and keep safe and keep on driving.